Members, this is the final amendment to the bill, which will not kill the bill or send it back to committee, but if it's adopted, the bill will immediately proceed to final passage as amended. Mr. Speaker, I've rushed to come to the floor to offer this motion to recommit because this bill, H.R. 766, is so outrageous. Under this bill, the Republicans in Congress are poised to give a get out of jail free card to big banks and Wall Street interests when it comes to fraud. Republicans propose to take away tools and investigatory powers from the Department of Justice in cases of fraud and undermine the Department of Justice's ability to prosecute mortgage fraud and other crimes to the detriment of American families and our neighbors back home. You know, Americans expect that the big banks that have broken the rules are held accountable for any of their financial misdeeds. However, the House Republicans are trying to give their special interest friends a break they do not need at the expense of the hardworking Americans. Now, shortly after I was sworn into Congress in 2007, my neighbors started to come to me and express a sincere problem that was happening. It started in Florida almost earlier than anywhere else. So the financial crisis took hold and people began to lose their jobs or their employers cut back on their hours. They couldn't keep up with their mortgages. And the deeper we dug into it, we began to see a pattern of fraudulent practices by many in the mortgage loan business. After 2007, I had 6 foreclosure prevention workshops. And at that time, I will never forget looking into the eyes of my neighbors who asked for a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of help. We came to Washington, we asked for that help on behalf of American families. Not to let them off the hook for their mortgages, but to give them a little breathing room. The response here in Washington was instead the huge multi-billion-dollar Wall Street bailout. And when we asked, as part of that Wall Street bailout of the big banks, could you allow homeowners to have a little more breathing room so they could stay in their homes? But no, that couldn't be part of the multi-billion-dollar Wall Street package. That was a lesson to everyone across America who really holds the power here in Washington, D.C. Next week, I'm still going to have another foreclosure prevention workshop with Hope Now and my local partners because people are not healed and the fraud continues. On Monday of this week, I sat down with my U.S. attorney in the Middle District of Florida, one of the busiest districts in America, especially when it comes to fraud. Do you know what U.S. Attorney Lee Bentley said? He said, we need more tools to fight fraud. They are winning big cases and big settlements when it comes to Medicare fraud and mortgage fraud and rooting out waste in the system. So it's appalling. You bring H.R. 766 to take away those investigatory tools, the subpoena powers for white-collar crime. Today, you know, the House Republicans are aiming to weaken the vital financial fraud fighting law, the Financial Institutions Reform, Recovery, and Enforcement Act. This is irresponsible. And House Republicans should be called out for it. Republicans will eliminate the authority of thousands of federal prosecutors to issue subpoenas for the purpose of investigating and prosecuting any big banks or other financial institutions that engage in financial fraud or other financial crimes. So I'm offering an amendment, a motion to recommit, that instead sides with our hardworking families back home. My amendment will prevent the legislation from taking effect until the Department of Justice and banking regulators certify that no financial institutions covered by the Act have broken the law by taking advantage of service members or by perpetrating abuses in the mortgage market. That's the very least that my Republican colleagues could do. In the meantime, American families who are appalled at this kind of action in the Congress should know that the Democrats are united for opportunity for hardworking Americans, especially service members and homeowners seeking to enjoy the American dream. The Americans should be appalled that Republicans want to take the financial cops off the beat and take tools away from our Department of Justice and U.S. attorneys. Instead, I ask my House Republican colleagues to join us in working to build an economy that works for all Americans, not just the privileged few. I urge a yes vote on the motion, side with American families, and I yield back the balance of my time.